Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga Detour. I'm Cecily and I'll be your instructor today. We're going to be doing a wrist day. You know how some people have a leg day at the gym? Well, today is our wrist day. It's really important to make sure our wrists are nice and strong, whether we're doing arm balancing in yoga or whether we're counteracting the effects of all of our computer use. So join me here. We're going to get down onto the mat and get started. So coming onto all fours, we're going to start by offloading our hands a little bit here and trying to lift off the first finger. Then once the first finger is in the air, I'm going to lean forward, working to keep my elbows straight to the point where I feel like it starts to be a little bit more difficult to keep that finger lifted. And then we're going to go for reps and just start tapping the mat with that one finger. And as I'm doing that, there's going to be a little bit of sensation of work moving into the back of my hand and up into the front of my forearm. I'm going to keep tapping about 20 times, then getting a little bit faster, and again, trying not to use any other part of my body, like my elbows, or let my head get into it. That's not the point. Just isolate through the fingers. And then I'll back off again, lift off the next finger, keep it as high as I can, lean forward again, and then start to tap. And the tapping might start slow, and then we try and get it to go a little quicker, and a little quicker, and a little quicker. And then I'll back off. Now I move down to the fourth finger, keeping that finger lifted, leaning into the hands. This one is my personal nemesis. It's the hardest one for me. And then I tap it. And if you look at your hands, you might see that your right is a lot smarter than your left, or your left might be a lot smarter than your right, or they could be the same. Just watching how your fingers move, and if one hand has more difficulty isolating that finger than the other. And then we'll back off. And do the baby finger. Lift it up there, take it forward, stay heavy over your hands, and then find that tap again. Keeping it slow to start off with, and then if it starts to feel like you can go a little faster, go for it. Tap, 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 and then I come back. So those are our finger taps. Really important strengthening actions for the front side here of the hand and the forearm. Now as I lean forward, I'm going to try and lift off the thumbs. The thumbs are going to stay lifted, the elbows are going to stay straight, and now we're going to press up off the palms of the hands, and then slowly lower again. So as I keep moving here, notice that I'm just going up and down. I'm not pushing myself backwards, and I'm not allowing my elbows to bend, and I also make sure that my hands aren't moving one at a time. It's just two hands together, shoulders staying forward over the fingers, and keeping the pace here nice and consistent, especially on the way down. So I'm not just lifting and then dropping to the floor. We want to use both ends of that range of motion, lifting and lowering, to keep pressing through the fingers in a way that actually isn't straining the fingers. We're just using those for support. The muscles here that are being worked to lift the hands are actually on the underside of the forearm. So when it comes to looking to stabilize the wrists and to stabilize the elbows, we want to really make sure that we're building forearm strength. Can you feel them starting to work? Getting a little fatigued? That's the idea. So if you're working toward using your hands in something like an arm balance or a handstand, we want to start incorporating that last exercise, in particular, the palm raise, into an everyday routine. Doing it at least once, one set, 15 reps, maybe 3 sets, 3 times a day. Spacing it out in a way where you're not getting overly fatigued, but you're then able to start noticing some real change. From there, we're going to start to isolate the hands in more of an open chain position, meaning they're not going to be touching the floor. So here, I start with the arms just out in front of me, and I'm going to try and keep the top side of my forearm pointing straight up. Then the fingers stay in line with the hand and point down, trying to get into that full flexion position. And then from here I rotate in, but see the difference, I don't turn my whole forearm over. I try and maintain that forearm position, go in and then straight to up, into that wrist extension. And now straight to out and down. So I'm making that movement as much about my wrists as possible, but you're going to feel it in your forearms even though your forearms aren't moving, going both directions. If you notice some little clicks or pops happening in your wrists, totally normal. They might not be used to moving like this. So they're just getting adjusted. Then we can try it with the forearms facing the opposite way. So I flip them over, and now I want to try and keep this surface pointing to the ceiling as I pull the fingers up and in and down and out and up and in and down and out. Other direction. This angle can feel more challenging to keep the elbows straight, so just do your best to keep those arms from bending and really maximize the range that you're using with your hands. Whew, can you feel the pump? It's happening. All right, so now that we've got those wrists worked, let's bring the weight back into the hands again and press back toward downward dog, just to see how it feels now to be in more of a weight-bearing position on the hands. Take a few breaths here, just noticing if it feels any different now in your wrists than normal. And when you're ready, we'll come down onto the hands and knees again. Sit back, and we'll call it a day for wrist day. So thanks for joining me today, everyone. I look forward to welcoming you back next time for Following the Detour.